Hello guys, how you guys doing? Chine here. Lolo, me channel. You guys know Lolo, she's been in enough of my vlogs. Didi, say hello.
Hi.
Chichi, hi. We are surrounded by water behind us and birds and swans and people fishing. Today is 4th of July, so we are decked out in a red, white, and blue. Some of us have the red, the blue. Oh, actually, I think we all have the red, white, and blue. Yeah, we all have it.
Red, white.
Yeah, anyway, red, white, but the blue is in your necklace. Anyway, we're celebrating Independence Day here in Obodo. No, don't knock this down. So I was watching a video before we left home recently about this whole rape case. I'm sure some of you guys are aware of it, by this pastor and many women who are now coming out thanks to Busola or Bisola. Bisola is the first one who spoke up against it. She made mention of what happened when she was still a teenager, right? I believe she was 17 or so. She was recounting her entire story about how a pastor who she thought was like a father figure to her. So imagine our pastor in our church raping a teenager that's 17 years old. Can you picture that?
That's
Yeah, that's beyond mean. That is inhumane, because he himself, he has daughters too. So I can't imagine if somebody did that to his daughter. Now everything is alleged right now, but there's enough people coming out saying that this is their story. This is what happened to them under the guidance of the pastor. So they seem to be using, specific keywords. Bisola said that this pastor was a father figure to her, although he was her pastor, but he was a father figure to her. I guess she was in the choir, and then this other lady who came out she's mentioning the fact that she was also in the choir as well. Not in the same, I don't believe she was in the same parish as Bisola, because apparently the church, they have multiple locations, and she was an adult. But whether you're an adult or a child, for somebody to do that to you, gosh, it is so inhumane, and I'm glad that they're speaking up. We owe a huge thank you to Bisola. We owe her a huge thank you, because it takes her speaking up and many women speaking up to make sure that women are not subjected to that, male or female, that nobody's subjected to that anymore. Excuse me guys, it's a little bit of there's an ant. I don't know if you guys can see that on the screen of the phone that I was using to record. Oh, that's okay, I was lifting you up. So yeah, because Bisola spoke up, now other women, they feel comfortable with just stating the fact that this happened to them. And it takes more and more of us speaking up to make sure things like that does not happen again. And I feel like we need to be comfortable enough to have that conversation with our family members, especially our young girls. It's also happening to young little boys, but I feel like we need to create an atmosphere where our adults, our kids, our family members, they feel comfortable coming to us, telling us, hey, this happened to me. And I've had this conversation with my girls, nobody's allowed to touch you anywhere. And if anything like that happens, you need to scream. You need to do what you need to do to get other people's attention. Let's just say that you were such in a state of shock that you forget to alarm everybody. Then you need to be able to speak to me about it so we can take care of it. You need to speak to your parents about it, right? Right? So what happens if somebody tries to touch you?
I scream and
You scream.
And I run away.
You run away. Now, the second lady who came to recount her own story, she did say that she was such in a state of shock. I think everybody reacts differently. Ideally, we would like for them to scream, to run away, to get away, to get to a safe space. But, when you're in a traumatic situation, sometimes your brain just forgets how to react. You're such in a state of shock, you don't know how to react. And the second person who spoke up was saying that that was her reaction. She just didn't know how to react, but she did know that this man did rape her. And she was just coming forward with her story, but she didn't show her face because she said she does not want to be associated with that story anymore, just for her own, how did she put it?
Safety.
Yeah, for her own safety, for her own peace of mind. She just doesn't want to be associated with the story anymore. But you know what? I want to say a huge thank you to Bisola and a huge thank you to a lot of Nigerians who sat back, listened to the entire story, and did not judge her and did not victimize Bisola again, but just listened to her story, heard her out. There were people out there protesting. I did not expect that one bit from Nigerians. I had like such how do I put this? The expectations I have for Nigerians are so low that I didn't expect. They went in and they were rallying. They were protesting against the man who raped Bisola. They were telling him to step down, which he eventually did. What he did do the first time, I don't think he was expecting the reactions. I don't think he was expecting the kind of reaction the Nigerians gave him. He did go back to the pulpit to try to preach, trying to say that he didn't do this, never in his believing life or unbeliever life or whatever have you. And then of course his wife was supporting him, which is something I don't get. You know, if you're not going to help the whole situation, then don't say a word, don't add anything to it. Anyway, he went to the pulpit again, trying to preach, trying to kind of deny the whole incident, deny the whole rape accusation, but a lot of people were protesting against him, so he decided to eventually step down. Now, whether or not they're going to persecute him, that's really up to the whole legal route that they choose to go. But the fact that people are speaking about it, that's a huge step. And the fact that people are listening to Bisola, that's a huge step. I did not expect that from Nigerians. I expected people to ridicule her because that's just what we do. I expected people to just ridicule her, tell her you are showered, this and the other, because we don't like to listen sometimes. But I was really, really pleasantly surprised by most Nigerians, given that most of them did ridicule her. You know, you just wonder, is it the same brain that God blessed us with? Is this the same brain that you're using to reason? But some people did believe her. Some people did allow her to just speak her own truth. And for that, I say a huge, huge, huge thank you to Bisola. And now I think people are a little bit more comfortable to come forward if anything happens to them, to speak to their kids about it, because I believe that if Bisola spoke to her parents about it the first time it happened, it would not have happened the second time around. If she felt comfortable coming to family members to talk to them about what happened the first time, it wouldn't have gotten to the second incident, because what happened the second time around, the pastor invited her to his home to come and watch his child, and that's when the second incident of rape happened. Yeah, can you imagine? So I believe that if she spoke to her family about it, if she felt comfortable coming forward, then it wouldn't have happened the second time around. But she felt comfortable eventually now in her adult years. She has kids now. She's married with kids, and you would think, it's still the same person, but she was raped as a child. She was still 17 years old. But now that she's an adult, she came forward and she started telling her story. So kudos to you. A huge thank you to you for speaking your truth, for now allowing these conversations to happen amongst family members. Some of us, we've had a discussion like that about things like this, but it's never, I don't think you could talk about it enough. I think it's very, very important that the young girls that we're raising, that they know what is allowed and what is not allowed. And it's very, very important. It's very, very important that we speak of this entire thing. We also make sure that our girls are very, very comfortable with their body. It's your body. If anything ever happens, you've got to speak up about it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. let's see, my goal will be to get this vlog up as soon as possible, maybe by tomorrow, but we'll see what happens. If not tomorrow, then most likely on Sunday. If you guys are watching this today, tomorrow, Sunday, hopefully you are having a wonderful day. If you are here in the States, hopefully you're having a wonderful 4th of July. And we are going to, oh, the sun is coming down. We're going to head on home now. We'll see you guys later. I want to say bye-bye.
Bye.
Careful, other corner. So Didi brought up a really good question as we were rounding up the vlog. She asked me if the pastor invited her home, why would she go? So here is how he put in the invite. Apparently the wife of the pastor just had a baby, right? So the wife asked her to come and help her watch the baby. Yeah, that's how they invited her. And then apparently either her siblings or her parents, somebody said it was okay for her to go, and that's how she ended up going. Initially she was hesitant about going, but she didn't tell her family what happened the first time around. That's how she ended up going the second time. I think if she felt comfortable coming to her family, telling her family what happened the first time around, they would protect her. There is no way they will allow her to go there the second time around and having the same thing happen to her again.